Hello, I'm Representative Lynda Schlegel Culver. Welcome to Legislative Report. Today we're at North Shore Railroad in Northumberland Borough, and we're with Gary Shields, President and CEO of North Shore Railroad. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Linda. Welcome to Northumberland and welcome to the North Shore Railroad Company.
Yes. Can you talk to us today a little bit about North Shore Railroad? And I just want to start by saying we just hit a milestone last year. Maybe talk about that and talk about the history of the company.
Sure. Well, thank you. Well, last year we celebrated our 30th year of operation, of a continuous operation, on August the 1st, and needless to say, we're in our 31st year of operation now. We are at the headquarters of our company. We operate 6 railroad companies in central Pennsylvania, 5 of which are owned by the Cedacog Joint Railroad Authority. They own the property, but what we do is we operate, maintain, and market the property, and of course do the customer service for about 100 customers on our railroad.
And what kind of customers do you have, or what do you ship?
Well, it's a wide variety of commodities, everything from plastic pellets to aggregate to food stuff. Our marketing representative, our marketing director rather, Todd Hunter, will tell you, like, if you like Cheetos, we ship everything but the bag.
Okay.
I should say we receive everything but the bag.
So, I mean, this building's been here as long as I can remember. Can you give us a little bit of history about, when did the railroad start here? How did it start?
Okay, the building, I believe, is dated back to 1912. The railroad started on August the 1st of 1984, and actually there were 2 railroads that started, the North Shore Railroad Company and the Nittany and Bald Eagle Railroad Company, and we were the contract operators for the Cedacog Joint Railroad Authority at that time.
And what was in this building in 1912?
This was a freight house for the Erie-Lackawanna Railroad.
Okay, so it was a natural fit to put a railroad company here.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. And this houses our basically our administrative functions, our customer service, marketing. Our operations department is headed here, and our accounting department, as well as overall administration.
And do you think, being in this community, how do you benefit this community by being here?
Well, it's great. We're every employee on the North Shore Railroad Company lives in the communities we serve. We know our customers extremely well, and that's one of the major advantages, that we're locally owned and locally operated, and again know our customer base. From day one, we've been essentially noted for our customer service level that we provided to customers for the last 30 years.
And I believe you said, there's 100 customers?
Yes.
And how many employees does it take to serve all those customers?
We have, right now, we have 95 full-time employees, operate 26 locomotives. Our geographic area goes from Tyrone, Pennsylvania to Berwick. That's from the west to the east, and from Williamsport down to Shamokin. About 250 miles of track that we operate.
A lot of employees.
And provide freight service. And if you look at us, we're the retail providers of freight for the nationwide rail system in our geographic area.
So there's one thing you would want people to know about North Shore Railroad. What would it be?
That we're very customer oriented.
Okay.
Very customer oriented. That's what we've been noted for from day one, and that's our value to the community.
And have you experienced a lot of growth over the most recent years?
We experienced some fairly substantial growth up in Lycoming County in 2009 when Marcellus Shale started. At that point, our Lycoming Valley Railroad handled 12,000 cars a year, and they grew one year over the other to 17,000 carloads. Collectively, we handle about 30,000 carloads on the whole system.
That's a lot of carloads.
Yes, it is.
So going from 12,000, you said, to 17,000, was that added jobs as well?
Absolutely, added jobs. At that point, we went from employment of in the 70s to 95 employees that we currently have today. Not only did we do that, but we also purchased locomotives, purchased goods and services. In Pennsylvania, we purchased approximately about $5.8 million of goods and services from Pennsylvania companies.
That's a lot.
Yes, it is.
And we're always trying to get people to think about, what the company adds to the community. So you're adding 95 plus jobs to our community, investing in our communities. That's a wonderful thing for us to have here.
It is. Plus, also one of our responsibilities of being the property operator with the Joint Railroad Authority is we maintain the track. In a typical year, we'll invest about $4 million of improving the track, maintaining and improving the track.
Gary, can you tell us a little bit about, all the employees live and work here, and I'm sure they're invested in, different roles in their communities. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Of course. I think one of the big things we're involved in is all the local Chamber of Commerces. And we're involved not only from attending the meetings and meeting all the business people, but we're involved in their leadership programs and trying to educate all the business people in the value of the North Shore Railroad Company. We started several years ago with Jeb Stoddard, our vice president, went through the leadership program down here at Greater Susquehanna Valley Chamber of Commerce and got to know a tremendous amount of people. But we invest all of our monies in the Chamber of Commerce.
That's wonderful. It's nice to have a community partner. I know next we're going to be talking to the marketing department.
Absolutely.
About, just that role of this. I know, we often talk about railroads and, people still are curious as to what is inside of those trains. And I know we're going to get into the community aspect as, we do community train rides to kind of keep fostering that interest in, children and families. But I think it'll be interesting when marketing talks about a little bit more in depth of how the impact is on the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much,
You're
Gary.
welcome.
We're here with Todd Hunter, Director of Marketing, and Joe Kantz, Marketing Representative at North Shore Railroad. Thank you for participating today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Can you talk to us a little bit about what the marketing part of this company does?
Well, with marketing, I always say every rail car is a decision. It's a decision that someone made to use rail as a transportation alternative for moving goods that they need for manufacturing or any other process in the area that needs large quantities of raw material. There's many facets to what we do to market the railroad. We're involved heavily in local chambers to get to know various businesses. For example, I chair the Transportation Committee in Lycoming County, and Joe participates in the Transportation Committee of the Central Susquehanna Valley Chamber, and we serve on various other local chambers and boards in the region to help make sure people know we're out here and what we do.
Joe, you want to talk about your part in this company?
Sure. Well, it's one of the best sales jobs I've ever had. And people say, well, how do you have sales in railroad business? And, being part of the marketing team, really it's about, like Todd said, getting the word out there to the businesses that we service. And it's fascinating to me because I've not been here a long, long time. So I'm seeing it from a set of new eyes. So as somebody that's been involved in economic development over the past number of years, I look at how do businesses use rail? Why do they need rail? And I'm realizing that there's such a great asset here with the railroad because, as Todd said, when somebody makes that decision to bring commodities in or send commodities out via railroad, it's not only a decision that saves them time and money, but it's also something that Gary mentioned earlier, 30,000 carloads a year we're shipping. That's 70 tractor trailers that aren't on our highways locally. And Lynda, I'm sure you've known in our area, there at times the roads can be congested.
Correct.
So that's 70 tractor trailers that we don't have to deal with, even though it's already congested. Think of how much worse it would be if we weren't shipping all those commodities on rail. So to see how everything comes together, it's really exciting for me. And I see that railroad and North Shore Railroad is really part of the economic engine that drives our region because when there's a new company coming into the area, they're talking to us. How are we going to get our commodities? Do we have access to rail? And if we don't have rail close to our the site that we're looking at for our business, how can we get those items to the rail and then get them to our business? Because a lot of people think that we only deal with businesses that are on the railroad. Mm-hmm. And to much extent that is true. But we also have a great number of customers that are not located next to a railroad and we've got to figure out a way to get their commodities on the train or off the train and get them to their businesses.
And we'll partner with local other businesses to do that. We try to make it easy for someone to deal with what is a rather complex industry, the railroad industry. And it's been amazing, like Joe said, to see the growth in the region. I've been here almost 19 years, and it's been fun to watch the growth. And one of the most enjoyable things of my job, and I'm sure Joe would agree, is actually touring the various industries. They all have family-sustaining jobs, and seeing how things are manufactured, and then also understanding, well, is there something we can move for you? And a good rule of thumb on rail is, particularly in bulk commodities, one rail car is 4 truckloads. And so, like Joe said, that multiplier of keeping trucks off our already congested roads is really good for the region and for the local economy.
I'm going to repeat that, actually. 1 rail car equals 4 truckloads.
Yes.
I think that's really important for people to understand just the economy of transporting by rail. It's better for the environment to be transporting by rail, and it kind of keeps a congested highway a little less congested than it currently is. And I'm sorry, Joe.
No, that's okay. We had a great experience this past week where we got to go to a celebration, a 25-year celebration of a company in the area that located in our central Pennsylvania region. And because of that, they've grown and grown and grown and now have 4,000 family-sustaining jobs that they employ. That's incredible to think about. You know, if it weren't for them locating here in central PA and starting that first business and then seeing the jobs multiply and then starting another business and seeing those jobs multiply. And it all started right here, and we've been a part of that all along as one of their successors or one of those people that have helped made them successful, because we've saved them money, we've saved them assets in time and money, bringing in their commodities that they use every day.
Yeah, without rail, they probably would have done their expansions elsewhere. So we're very proud of that. And that story can be replicated all over our network.
Well, do you find, like, I'm on the transportation committee as well with Joe, and, we get reports. We always start with, Department of Transportation talking about roads and projects and bridges. But we also have Joe reporting on what's going on in the rail industry. We have the airport authority there talking about, air. And I think oftentimes people don't think beyond just regular road travel. So how do you, talk to these businesses? And I'm sure some of them have never thought about using rail. How do you convince them, or how do you open their eyes to, what else is out there for them?
It's usually an effort of calling someone and trying to understand their business and asking a lot of questions. And it's usually a two-way conversation. They want to know, can we help them? And we want to know, can we help you? And we try to figure out what it is they're using, and does it fit with rail? And like Joe said, if they're not directly on the tracks, how can we transload is the term we use. How can we transload their material to get it to their facility? We're very good at that, and we like partnering with local companies to transload various commodities for people who are off rail.
And what is transload? Just for those of us who
Transload
don't
is basically changing the mode of transportation. A very good example is we have a local company that makes Pop-Tarts, and they don't use rail direct at their plant. We have another company we partner with that has a terminal that unloads their sweeteners and their sugar and their flour, and then trucks it to the facility where they do their production. And that's a case where we partnered with a national transportation company that specializes in transloading food grade products, because there's very strict rules in handling food grade material. And it works out very well. The company is able to enjoy the benefits of rail service even though they're not directly on the railroad.
Okay. Before we wrap this up, I want to talk a little bit about your investment directly into our communities, and what you get to expose the community to with the rail service.
One of the things that, and we touched on this earlier, almost everyone we serve is involved in manufacturing, and typically manufacturing jobs are family-sustaining jobs. And so the fact that we are healthy means that the local manufacturing base is healthy. We need each other, and that's good for the community to have that diversity of economic growth. Some other things we do outside of direct rail service, we do a lot of charity work here with the company, serving on various committees, boards, townships. A big event we do every year is Toys for Tots toy collection. We partner with an organization called NARCOA to collect toys up and down the North Shore Railroad between Northumberland and Bloomsburg. And we're one of the largest sources now of toys and money for the local Marine Corps League, detachment league that distributes those toys. That's just one example. And Joe, if you want to.
Well, I think even just the company's philosophy, they're allowing us as employees and encouraging us as employees to go out and be involved in the community in various organizations, helping out, volunteering, and then also as part of our jobs in marketing, being part of those chamber boards. Every board needs members to serve. And much like any other company that's a part of a chamber, they're telling us to take part of our day to go and be part of that board, to be influential in the leadership of our community, because that's really how we grow our economy in the local area. And in some ways, Lynda, I was thinking about this, we're almost in some ways like elected officials, Todd and I, because we get to go out to the businesses, we get to listen to what their needs are, what their issues are, and then try and come up with a solution. And when we are able to come up with a solution that works for them, we save them money, we help them grow their business, we help them add employees. And at the same time, it's secular because it comes back to us and we get to grow our business and grow our employees, and we all work together to really make what's positive for our area the most important thing.
It's like a trickle-down effect. I know the community is very fortunate to have you here, so I want to thank you for what you guys are doing for our communities. And we'll go on to our next segment, and I believe we're going out to a engine now. I'm sitting here with Tom Avery, Director of Operations, outside of the locomotive shop on the tracks in a running locomotive. Tom, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, Lynda, this is a SW 1500 locomotive. It's also 1500 horsepower. We have 6 of these locomotives. We use them in this area because they're very user-friendly for our crews. Switching can be very difficult if your unit is too big for where you're trying to get in. We have track constraints that only allow for certain size pieces of equipment in certain areas.
Now, what is switching, so our viewers understand that?
Switching is, we receive the cars from Norfolk Southern over in their yard in Northumberland. We bring them over on this railroad and many of our other railroads, which we have 5 other railroads, and we take these cars, switch them down here in a certain order. On a railroad, you have to have your cars in an order in order to get them into the customer.
Okay.
At the customer, we will take their cars in, pull all their empties or loads, depending on if they're loading or emptying, and then we will place them, take the empties out, say they're empties, and continue on to the next customer. And that's what switching is basically giving fresh cars and taking the used ones or loaded or empty ones away to return to Norfolk Southern for the process to start all over again.
Okay.
We can have a train that can consist of anywhere from 1 car to 150 cars, depending. If it's a road train going to Williamsport, we have had trains as high as 150 cars going up there. The train crew today working North Shore is serving, I believe, 8 of our customers on this railroad. They left here with 16 cars. They could bring anywhere from 2 cars back, or they could bring 25 cars back, depending on what they have there and have worked with. On this railroad, we have customers that deal in plastics, making of carpet. We have another customer that deals in pet foods. We have other customers that make food products. We haul a lot of cottonseed, soybean, that type of oil for that customer. We have customers that take plastics, make components for buses and airplanes, the interiors of them. We're very versified. On some of our other railroads, we haul sand and products for the Marcellus industry. We haul, obviously, the hazmat products for chemical companies. We haul anthracite coal. Let's see, what else can we? It's just a wide variety. We haul railroad ties, obviously, for our use and other customers' use. We do have a tie company on our railroad, and it's very busy. Some of our Nittany Bald Eagle is stone products. We haul salt for roads. Out there, it's more of, there are other plastic industries. It seems like our plastic industries on every one. That's a big commodity.
And do you haul just in the state of Pennsylvania, or do you go beyond?
We are strictly in the state of Pennsylvania, basically central Pennsylvania. We have one operation in Lewistown, and that operation actually is very big in the wheels for locomotives and cars. We also have our operation in the Tyrone to Lock Haven area, which is based in Bellefonte. We have our Williamsport operation, which is based in Newbury, which is just outside of Williamsport. Then we have 3 operations that work out of here, which would be Union County, which is the Lewisburg area, North Shore, which we are on the eastern end, or excuse me, the western end of that railroad at the present. It goes from here to the nuke plant at Beach Haven.
Okay.
It's approximately 45 miles to that from here. Then we also have our Shamokin Valley Railroad, which goes to close to Mount Carmel.
So, given the very difficult and cold winter we've just had, how does weather play into the operations of this business?
Weather can be very tough on us. This year, we had many problems with frozen crossings. Ice gets hard enough, and even though a locomotive of 150 ton can still derail in the ice, it does not penetrate it. So we have to salt our crossings, be very careful going across them. Every switch must be cleaned before you can go through it. Traction wise, we're not too bad. As long as it's not too deep, we can usually bike pretty good in that way. Our only anti-skid that we have is sand in the locomotive. Sand that squirts on the rail out ahead of it. So yes, weather plays a big factor. The leaves in the winter, or excuse me, in the fall, give us a traction problem. They make like a slime on the rail. That's some of our toughest times. In the spring and fall, track is a little more loose because the ground is more saturated, and that can give us some problems. It's a day like this is pleasant to be out here, not so much in the dead of winter when it's 0 degrees.
And I would assume, working on the cars and the locomotives, that it gets a little slick in the winter?
Slick as far as getting on and off the locomotives and cars, yes, very much. Guys have to be very, very careful. We also have problems with your traction, you're walking in the ballast, the deep snow. This all gives us a problem.
I know we all see trains and we all hear the whistle blow. What do those whistles mean? I mean, there's some meanings when you hear those whistle blows.
The bells and the whistles on it, yes, they are there. The bell is basically turned on to try and draw people's attention that there's something coming at them. The whistles are at every crossing. If there would be people working on the tracks, this is to signify we're coming through. At every crossing, you are required, I should say, at every public crossing, you must have your bell on and turn or use your horn. It's too long, a short, and a long.
So it's two longs, a short, and a long.
Correct.
To make people aware that you're coming through that crossing.
Correct. And also, our horns have to meet a certain decibel. They have to be very loud out there, but then not too loud that the cab, it's too loud on our employees.
And much like regular vehicles on the roadway, do you have posted speed limits on the rail?
Yes, we do. Each rail has a certain speed limit put upon it. We range anywhere from 10-mile-an-hour track to 40-mile-an-hour track, depending on which railroad.
And is that actually posted, or is that something?
No, it is posted only in our rules and regulations books. It is an established speed. Now, there's certain areas on that same railroad that may have a lower speed also, and each crew goes through extensive training and has many rules and regulations to abide by. They have to know. It's basically what they call qualifications on a railroad.
So I know I've been involved with some of your community events, and one of them is Toys for Tots. Can you talk a little about the event you have out here in early December? I don't know, I can't ever remember the name of the cars that you use out here, but can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, some of the rail fans call them speeders. They're actually a small track car that was used many years ago. There's many people that have them, and they set on here and they go up our railroad collecting toys for tots and money, and it's a very appreciated program.
And just from my participation, you get people from all across the United States coming here with their cars that hold about 2 people. They're not very big, they're not engine like, they're very small.
Correct.
So it's quite, how many participants do you think we have in that event?
Oh, you might have, I'm going to say 25, and I've seen it as high as 40 or 50 in the same caravan.
So before we wrap up this segment of Legislative Report, is there anything you want the public to know?
Something that we also do, we not only haul freight, we also haul passengers. 100% of our costs are paid by the railroad. We turn every nickel that we, as far as the puller of the passenger cars, we don't charge any of the communities or whoever we're doing the passenger trains for. It's completely our donation back to the community.
So another showing of your commitment into your community.
Yes, we feel this is our part back into our local communities.
Tom, I want to thank you for taking time today to show us the locomotive and talk to us about the operations of North Shore Railroad.
And we thank you very much for coming and viewing what we actually do.
All right, thank you. Thank you for joining us for our legislative report at North Shore Railroad. I'm Representative Lynda Schlegel Culver.